Hey, welcome to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Love. And hey, we got the general in the studio. How you doing this evening, Greg?
Once again, it's on, brother. Hey, you know how you get this thing started every week, man. How's this week's Fast Weekend for you?
Hey, man, it's busy. A lot going on, Greg. And I tell you, man, I'm just excited about just moving forward, man. A lot of great things are happening. Man. Well, no, you know what? Let me say a lot of good things are happening that are going to evolve to be great things, man. How was your weekend?
Listen, man, this weekend for me was all things Olympics, brother.
All things Olympics?
All things Olympics.
Hold up. Now, you can't say, well, okay, I guess you can, because one of the things I've been waiting to bring up with you is the Australia breakdance.
You just going to jump right into it.
I'm going to jump right into it.
You're going to jump right into it, man.
You're the expert on a lot of the track and field and all that good old stuff. But, Greg, what has stood out to most people has been the Olympic breakdancing, and not for a good reason. Not for a good reason.
Because I don't think you called what she was doing breakdance, brother love. I don't know what that was. That was some
did she break?
That was some boot scooting boogie. That was some boot scooting boogie she was doing.
I'm surprised Doc didn't capture some of that, but man, Greg, that was bad. That was horrible.
It was interesting. I'm gonna say it just like that, brother love. But listen, because it takes some nerve and some gumption to set yourself out in front of millions upon millions of people with the talent and the skill for an event that's never going to be in the Olympics again. Because
no,
come on. You think they're going to do breakdancing again?
Great. So they're going to exit.
They're going to have to. Bowling and breakdancing is going to live as long as bowling did for the Olympics. Not bitter.
Greg, but who decides how it gets in there to begin with?
No, that's a good question. Somebody else asked me that, and I can't answer that question to save my life, brother love. But whoever came up with breakdancing for an Olympic sport needs to be taken to the woodshed and paddled, brother.
I'm gonna just use this word. They need to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
Because that was. Hey, but Greg, what else been going on, man, in track and field in the Olympics? I mean, well, I'm gonna let you tell us, man. Was it what got your attention?
So listen, brother love. Before we get into all of that, because tonight, we have a very special guest that's going to be joining us tonight. We're going to be talking a little politics, but before we get to the politics, we got to talk the Olympics. And before we talk about the Olympics, we have to let the people know that they're tuned in to two of the most influential voices in Central Florida on Monday Night Podcast. Brother Love and Greg Jackson, the dynamic duo, guaranteed to raise your IQ 10 to 15 points. And Brother Love on some nights is 15. Wait, that is 15. It's 25 to 30.
So
hey, but if you want to, that's right, we're going to bring it tonight. If you want to be a part of tonight's show, all you got to do is hit, what's that, 321-483-7002. They're going to call tonight?
I think Doc said we got a telephone problem, so I don't know if they're going to be calling tonight. But, Greg, what are we going to do tonight?
Let's
get it on. All right. Hey, so.
Hey, wait a minute. Before y'all get in, and I won't interrupt anymore. The lady actually teaches hip-hop dancing as a professor. She got a PhD in arts.
Hey Doc.
That makes it even worse.
Hey, needless to say, there's going to be a lot of people. Greg, remember those classes? Remember those classes when you were in school? That you would
see, y'all want to talk.
So she got to go back to her students. How's she gonna stand up before her students with 0 points?
Hey, 0 points.
I don't know if she did it as a joke or what, but that was a hot mess.
Doc, did you see it?
How could I not see it? I can't unsee it. They've been showing it on the news too.
Hey, did you see what the Australian government said
and
about
she got 0 points
3 times.
Look, they need to take her PhD away too. Because what was her final like? What was her dissertation like? Did she have to get up and dance in front of people like that too?
Hey, but you make it to the Olympics as a break dancer and you teach the class.
And you get 0 points.
So, hey.
She must have been a Vanilla Ice dancer back in the day.
They have a class for break dancing in college?
Not where I went to school.
Well, this is an Australian university where she is a PhD professor, and that's what she teaches.
So maybe because we have Juilliard, and a college of performing arts. So maybe it's like that, like a Juilliard, the equivalent of Juilliard. But listen. First off, she needs to stop. She needs to go and get some lessons before she goes back to school. But they need to take breakdancing off as a sport for the Olympics. That's just me. I don't know how y'all felt about it.
And guess what her name is? Her hip hop name is her b-boy name.
What's that?
Ray Gun.
Ray Gun.
Yeah. Like space Ray Gun.
It don't get no better than that.
Hey, but you know
It
what?
don't get no better
Hey,
than that.
people just need to go to YouTube and look up what's the name? Ray Gun. Ray Gun.
Yeah.
Nah, look up Australian breakdance. That's
Yeah,
all you got to
yeah.
do. And YouTube and Google and take it from there. You can judge for yourself. And if anybody wants to give us some points, I'm sure she'll happily accept those by mail or by digitally if you want to email her some points.
Well,
Because she sure didn't get any
well,
in the Olympics.
Well, she's probably glad it's over. But hey, Attorney Greg Jackson,
Yes, sir.
how many medals did the United States get?
So listen, this was a banner year for the United States in terms of total medals. The only year that they've gotten more medals was in 1988 when they had the Olympics in Los Angeles, and I think they got 174 medals then. That was a historic year. Remember, Carl Lewis won 4 gold medals that year. That was the same year, if I recall correctly, Greg Louganis, who used to be a diver, that's when he hit his head on the diving board and all of that other stuff. But that's the most that they received until this Olympic season when the U.S. finished with 126 total gold medals.
Who was
I'm
the
sorry,
top?
with 126 total medals.
Okay, how many go?
And they had 40 gold medals. Now, China actually tied with the U.S. in terms of the total number of gold medals. But in terms of total medals, the complete number of medals, I think China was at 91.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
the U.S. was number 1 because they tied with China in terms of the most gold medals, but we had the most medals overall.
So Greg, what was the most exciting moment during the Olympics for you?
Listen, there were a lot of exciting moments for me. I mean, even sports that I typically don't watch. Katie Ledecky, in the 800 and the 1500. I think she got another world record in the 1500. I was watching things, like the discus. The young lady who won the discus. This was her second year in a row winning the discus. But track and field is my thing, brother love. I enjoy track and field. I did a little bit in high school. My daughter ran in high school. Tried to get her to run in college. I'm still the unofficial announcer for the Bishop Moore track team, so I really and truly enjoy track. And so the standout moments for me were last week when you had the 100 meter, men's and women's 100 meter, the 200 meter, the 400 meter. Look at Doc showing this lady. What is this foolishness here?
And that was breakdance.
That is not breakdancing. I don't know what that is. Here comes Peter Cottontail. Here comes Peter Cottontail.
All right, we ain't gonna give her no more. We ain't gonna give her no more airtime. That's the airtime. That's enough of that.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Hey, Greg, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Out of all the different Olympic sports, and I know track and field is your thing, but tell people some of the other sports that actually take place. Is the javelin still?
Yeah, oh yeah, the javelin is still in there. As a matter of fact, if I recall correctly, Brother Love, it was either the javelin or the discus, but Jamaica had a winner of one of those events for the first time in the country's history. I think that they've had like a bronze medalist before, but I want to say it was the discus. But yes, but the javelin is still thrown. The shot put is still thrown. As a matter of fact, American Ryan Krauser, who I've been watching him, and Kovac, who is his, they've been battling each other for the past 4 or 5 years. Americans came in gold and silver. The long jump, we had a female that won the long jump. Obviously, we had in the women's 100 meter dash, we had Sha'Carri Richardson come in second place in that, and we also had Miss Jefferson come in third place. So yeah, we got silver and bronze in that. But the highlights, so Brother Love, the real highlights, you had Rob Benjamin, who was a 400 meter hurdler. And I don't know if people remember back in the day of Edward Moses. That's when I first started watching hurdling.
Yeah.
And Edward Moses was, a sight to see. And that's the person I really remember, like the first person I remember running the 400 meter hurdles. But Rob Benjamin, not last year, but in the previous Olympics in 2021, supposed to be in 2021, he actually came in second place behind Kirsten Warhol. And so that had been eating him up for 3 years. And Brother Love, this year, he made up plus some in the Olympics, and he is a gold medalist.
Oh, wow.
In the 400 meter hurdles. The other person that we need to talk about is Quincy Hall. Quincy Hall, 400 meter run, came out of nowhere. The one with the full gold grill from St. Louis. Quincy Hall he led the 400 meter race. I think they said for a 0.1 of a second.
Okay.
Because that's how close that race was. He came that close. We also had for the 100 meter hurdles. We had Makai Russell, her first time in the Olympics. Female, she won the hurdles. She beat Jasmine Camacho Quinn, who's actually an American who runs for Kentucky, but her mom is from Puerto Rico, so she runs for Puerto Rico. But she dethroned Jasmine Camacho Quinn. Then I'm getting to the bigger race, the ones that I like now. The men's 100 4x1, Brother Love. The past 20 years, they have failed to complete or to place in the 4x1, and this year was no different, Brother Love.
What?
This year was no different. The men's relay team again failed to complete the race. They were disqualified because of a lane violation because Kenny Benerick, who didn't even practice with the relay team up until this point, was running second leg. They should have kept the team that they had, and they messed up the pass on the second leg.
So, Rick, I'm accustomed to, and you are too,
Yeah.
seeing a disqualification based on a baton being dropped or something like that.
Yeah.
But when you say a lane violation, explain that, man.
So lane violations, when you're running the relays, the starters have, I'm sorry, the runners have a certain spot that they can't go past without passing the baton, and all of the runners know it, and they they walk it off, they tape off the areas where they're supposed to get the baton by. Benerick has been running track pretty much all of his life. This is something he should have known, but the men's relay team historically has messed up the 4x100 relay for whatever reason. And this year I was like, no, listen, I think that this is the year they're not going to mess it up. I went and get me some boiled peanuts to sit down and watch it, and they already been DQ'd.
Oh, so Greg, I think I know exactly what you're saying. Was this the second leg?
Yeah.
So that is the second leg of the race, going past the point to get the baton.
Yeah.
So they went past the point.
They went to past the point to get the baton. Now, the women's 4x100 meter relay, they did their thing. Now, I'm not going to say it was an easy race because it was not.
What place did they come in?
They came in first.
Oh, okay.
And they actually were in third place when Sha'Carri Richardson got the baton for the anchor leg, and she did her thing. And listen, I got to give her mad props and respect. She brought that women's relay team into the goal on that.
What you say? What leg did she run though?
She ran the anchor leg, the fourth leg.
Okay, so did she have to run anybody down?
She had to run down two people. She had to run down Germany and I forget was it Germany and Great Britain.
So now you're gonna make me go back and look.
Listen, man, you gotta watch it, man. You gotta watch it. The women's. No. Let me go to the men's. The men's 4x4 did not disappoint. They came in first. Rob Benjamin, who is the 400 meter hurdleist, the gold medalist for the U.S., he ran the anchor leg for that one. He took the place of Michael Norman. Michael Norman is a 400 meter runner, but for some reason during the Olympics, Michael Norman just never really pulls it together. Unfortunately, this year he came in seventh place. In the 400. But his training partner and his former roommate Rob Benjamin took the baton and he ran them into the gold medal position. In front of which country?
Hold on.
In front of which country?
I'm not gonna say Jamaica.
Oh, Jamaica was out. Jamaica didn't even they didn't even post.
Canada.
That's a good guess. That's a very good guess.
Because I'm talking about
Great Britain would be another good guess.
Okay.
But you're not gonna get this one. Botswana.
what?
Botswana.
Is that history for Botswana?
That is history. That is history.
Okay.
But for Botswana, they broke an African record with that performance. The women's.
But but before you go there, what Botswana is really known for?
Not distance.
What not?
They're known for middle distance.
Oh, okay, middle.
Yeah.
See,
You think about
everything
Kenya?
fast,
Yeah.
4x4.
Yeah,
To me, is this.
Yeah, now Botswana is known for like the middle distance races, anywhere between the 800 and
Okay.
1500.
Okay.
But they have this young man, Tobago. He's the one that beat Noah Lyles in the 200 meters, and I actually think that he came in fourth in the 100.
Wow.
He's fast.
Man.
He's fast, and he pushed Rob Benjamin, to the hilt on that men's 4x4. The women's 4x4 broke the American record for the 4x4. Their lead was so large until they started calling who was coming in second place by the third leg. By the time the second leg was over, Sydney Legrone, who's actually the women's 400 meter runner, which I want to talk about here in a few moments. She ran the second leg for this one. She put them in an excellent position. Shamir Little, who is also traditionally a hurdler, a 400-meter hurdler, she ran that. She started them off. You had Alexis Holmes, and I forget who the other person was. Alexis Holmes, but whatever it was, they had a team that basically blew them out of the water from jump.
Hey, here's a message to Stephen A. Smith, I should say, and a message to ESPN and a lot of those other ones. Greg, brother, you doing your thing when it comes down to this, to
Listen,
being up on sports.
I like the Olympics, man.
Hey, man, I mean, because it's just rolling up. And then you answered the question I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, did you find the time to get up from that seat while you were watching the Olympics? And you said by the time you got up and got some peanuts,
It was over. They'd
yeah.
already been DQ'd. So, but here's the thing I want to talk about, though, Brother Love. Sydney McLaughlin Lebroni, a fantastic young lady, 24 years old, recently got married. Her husband is a former NFL player. Every time she has touched the track this year, virtually it has been a world record. Every time she's touched the track. Her main competitor was Femke Bol, who is out of the Netherlands. And so the track meet, the 400 hurdles was supposed to be between her and Femke Bol. And Sydney McLaughlin Lebroni, she not only came in first, but she also broke another world record for the 400-meter hurdles.
Okay, so I got to ask you, man, what was the margin of victory? I mean,
so not only that, her main competitor, Femke Bol, so Sydney McLaughlin not only won by a large margin, but she actually pulled one of her teammates in the form of Anna Cockrell, which Anna Cockrell has a fantastic story. She came out of USC. She was diagnosed with depression and a lot of other things, and she has run herself back into where she is now an Olympic silver medalist.
Wow.
Behind Sydney McLaughlin Lebroni, and she beat Femke Bol, which Femke Bol is one of the most feared 400 runners and 400-meter hurdlers in the world, aside from Sydney McLaughlin. And we had a young lady out of USC, out of the United States, who actually ran her down and came in second place.
brother, you're going to get your call from ESPN.
They can keep that call. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I wanted to point out, Brother Love. A lot of people, everybody was pointing out Sha'Carri Richardson. And, listen, and I appreciate what she's done and how she's come back. But she was a silver medalist and she came in second. There were a lot of talented athletes, female athletes, that won gold medals that did some fabulous things. And that's why I wanted to point to Sydney McLaughlin Lebroni. I mean, she broke a world record. She ran and she helped the gold medal team for the 4x4. You also had the 100-meter hurdler in Makai Russell, first time in the Olympics. She wins a gold medal. She dethrones the former the Olympic champion from last year. You have the 200 meters. 200 meters was run by Gabby Thomas. That's who ran the other leg in the 4x4 for the win.
Okay.
She actually ran the anchor leg. No, she did. She ran the third leg. It was Alexis Holmes who ran the anchor leg. But Gabby Thomas graduated from Harvard, Brother Love. Harvard. I remember when she used to go to these track meets as a Harvard student, running in these major track meets, beating people, and they're just like, wait a minute, how she's from Harvard, she's not supposed to be here. But she's now she's doing epidemiology. She graduated with epidemiology. She's doing public health over in Texas. But she ran for a gold medal in the 200 meters for the United States.
Here's what I got to ask you, Greg. We see these Olympians.
Yeah.
What happens to these Olympians after the Olympics?
I mean, listen. When we talk about someone like a Gabby Thomas, she goes back to Texas. She continues to do great works in her community. In public health. When you talk about Sha'Carri Richardson, she's going to continue to be an influencer and do things like that.
But there's a difference in time now versus back then, because we could have a conversation about Mary Lou Retton and a bunch of other Olympians that they're not on the uptick, if you would.
Based on that, we could talk about Crittenton, who ran the 100-meter hurdles, who, when he leaves, he's going to go back, and I think he works at Home Depot. And he's going to go back and do his job at Home Depot.
But that takes me to this, and Greg, I want you to go, if you would, get a feel on this to our audience. But in one of our subsequent upcoming shows, and we're just trying to get out of this election cycle first, but we're going to be bringing in our special guest expert on NIL.
That's right.
Talking about, and
That's
so
right.
do these Olympians benefit from NIL?
Well, listen, if they don't, remember, Brother Love, you had one 16-year-old, the youngest male to compete in track and field, which is Quincy Wilson. Quincy Wilson also, although he did not run the best race at age 16, he still ran a 47, which isn't bad. It's not as good as his 44, but he still ran a 47, the youngest male to compete in track and field in the Olympics. That's the guy you need to be talking to for NILs, because he's going back to high school in Maryland. And hey, listen, how is he going to capitalize on this?
And the other hook to that, which, you know, we'll get into at a later date, but when we talk NIL, everybody was accustomed to NIL being geared toward college athletes. Now NIL is opening up to high schoolers.
Yeah, not only that, now remember, people thinking NILs, they're thinking just football players. I mean, NILs can go to
I forgot,
softball
man. I forgot.
players,
We know what we
track
talk
and
about.
field,
Let people know what NIL is.
I'm sorry, yeah. Name, image, likeness. It's where individuals who, if their name, image, and likeness is being used, they can now be paid or compensated for the use of their name, image, and likeness. This is unlike back in the day when, listen, a good friend of mine back in the day would be playing Madden and seeing his name and number on Madden, and he got nothing from it. So now these young athletes, and I think that's the right move, can do it. They just need to regulate it a little bit better, which we'll talk about.
Well, we're going to be tuning into a show, and we'll let you know. And I'm sure our executive producer, Dr. Light, will definitely get that promo together. But what we're going to do, and boy, Greg, that was, I mean, I'm still thinking,
all things Olympic.
Yeah, all things Olympic. But what we're going to do is take a quick commercial break, and we're going to have our special guests join us in the studio, and we have a treat for you. So we'll be right back on Let's Talk Nation.
They break, I fix. Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Jaguars and Porsche. Joe's Quality Auto Repair. I specialize in European cars. They break, I fix at Joe's European Quality Auto Repair. Located at 1240 State Road 436 in Altamont Springs. They break, I fix. Call me, mention Let's Talk Nation and bring your certified dealership repair quote. And I beat by 30%. Remember, they break, I fix. Call me at Joe's European Quality Auto Repair at 407-409-6040. Again, 407-409-6040. After they break, I fix. Joe's European Quality Auto Repair.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Nation. And as I mentioned before, we have a special guest in the studio with us. Greg, nobody does introductions like you, brother, so I'm going to pass the baton.
Listen, man, we all close like we family up in this thing.
I know.
But listen, at this time, as always, we like to bring in individuals who want to serve their community, and tonight is no different. We have a very special guest in the form of Alicia Payton Robinson, who is running for judge here in our great community. And we want to talk to her a little bit about her plans, talk to her about where she come from, and talk to her about why she is the next judge in the Ninth Circuit. How you doing, Ms.
Welcome to Let's Talk Nation.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate that.
So, Judge, I mean, we want to roll it out, but before we could do anything, we noticed and saw that you won something that's passionate to us in our backyard, the Apopka Hobnob, but I hear you won all of the hobnobs.
I have. We've attended quite a few hobnobs in Orange and Osceola counties, and we're proud of the fact that we've won each and every hobnob. And I believe on most, if not all of them, we've received about 50% of the total vote.
So what do you attribute that success to?
I would say that it's, if I had to guess, I guess they've heard my story and they understand the compassion that I have in the will that I have to persevere through this race and win, and the reasons why I really choose this position. I want to be your next circuit court judge.
You know, that's a good segue for me, right?
Sure.
That's a good segue for me to ask you, what made you desire to become a judge?
Well, this is something I've always wanted to do, and I know it sounds cliche, like who says that? Who just always wants to become a judge? But that is just the truth, and I mean, that's the best I have. I've always wanted this since I was a child. So I wanted to be a lawyer first. That's all I knew. So you know when you go to elementary school and you go, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I misspelled it, and I wrote Loyer. And my parents kept that little picture for quite a long time because I misspelled the word lawyer, but I didn't want to be anything else.
Right.
And then somewhere, I think in middle school, something happened, and I saw something on TV, and all of a sudden I decided that becoming a judge was the goal for me. So everything I did post that was geared toward becoming your next circuit court judge.
So tell the folks a little bit about, where you come from and, kind of what your career path has been up until this point.
Sure. I'm born and raised right here in Central Florida. I grew up in Pine Hills. I am the youngest of two to my parents, Leroy and Betty Payton. And I went to school here, went to Florida State, went to Florida A&M University College of Law, and I've been practicing here.
You do that
for-
very well, Brother Love. I like that. I like that. Yeah. See, he beat me to it, but I like that.
I've been practicing for about 15 years in this area. I've done both civil litigation and criminal litigation. I was a public defender for 5 years doing juvenile work as well as adult work. I did misdemeanors and felonies as well, and I also did some work in mental health court.
Okay.
Which gives me a bit of an edge, I think, over my opponents because I'm the only one that can tell you that they've represented both victims of crime and those accused of crime. So I create that level playing field when I'm elected as your next circuit court judge, and that I understand what it is to be on both sides of the deal. For the past 11 years, actually, today makes 11 years that I've been working in civil litigation, practicing in wrongful death, negligent security, premise liability, and also a stint at auto accidents, slip and falls, and medical malpractice. I believe my level of experience is vast and speaks directly to the circuit court bench. And so that's kind of the history of who I am and what I've been doing for the past decade and a half.
I'm gonna tell you what's interesting. Being a trial lawyer myself, a lot of times when we get new judges, you may have a judge that did a lot of family law, or you may have a judge that did some criminal law, but they didn't do this area of the law or civil law. You may have some that did civil law, but they didn't do the criminal law or the other things. It sounds like that your experience will allow you that day one, whatever aspect or whichever area of the division that they put you in, you're ready to jump in and go to work.
I'm absolutely ready to hit the ground running, and that's what gives me that unique edge. While I recognize that my opponents may have their own level of experience, there's something about understanding the rules of law and the rules of evidence and being a trial attorney that I think is necessary for a judge when approaching this type of endeavor.
So you mentioned that you grew up in Pine Hills. You went to, I believe you said, was it West Orange?
I did.
And you went to it was a family.
She said FSU first.
I know she
did.
said FSU.
I did. I went to the Florida State University for undergrad.
Why not?
I don't understand. They don't get it. Say the whole thing.
I was trying not to go there because Greg and I have a good friend who happens to be a mayor of the second largest municipality in Orange County. And he's not too fond of those Seminoles because last I checked, Gators love to eat Seminoles, but I'm not going to go there.
Y'all must be famished.
You know what?
I mean,
you know
you
what?
got to be hungry if you
You
like
know
to eat
what?
cinnamon. I
Because
don't know
it
how
ain't
that
been
happens.
Yeah. Listen, this you get like a couple of years.
Okay.
You know, so come on.
I digress a little bit, but you talked a few things about your mental health. I mean, being experienced with looking at mental health issues, which is a major issue. If you look at 33rd Street Jail,
Correct.
Mayor Demings during the budget process about a month ago mentioned that it was approximately about 1,000 individuals that were in the jail that needed services in mental health, which contributed to approximately another $15 million that has to be dedicated for that. So what are some of your thoughts about individuals who go before the court that need to get assessed correctly so that it's not a punishment per se, but you're looking at, and see, I don't know the tenets of law. I passed the buck to my friend there, but I do believe individuals who have mental health issues need to be assessed correctly and treated correctly.
You're absolutely right. They do. I previously worked at Lakeside Behavioral Health Care for a few years while I was in law school. And as the forensic case manager there, I got some firsthand experience seeing what it was like in the court system before I became an attorney, but simply on the mental health side. And while I absolutely agree that services should be rendered to those that are in need of mental health services, I think the uphill battle we have is the continuation of services for those that are adults, because it really is a choice on the part of the person that has the mental health issue to continue that care. And when they don't, sometimes they end up in the court system. The Ninth Circuit has some great programming to ensure that they are not going through the court system without hitting that mental health court first. And I would hope that we would continue that while I'm still on the bench. But there needs to be an area of compassion for that cornerstone of the community. And I think someone that's worked in that area is beneficial to being on the bench, because we can bring that unique level of experience, knowledge, and compassion and respect to that cornerstone of our community while they matriculate through the criminal justice or civil justice process.
Great. I'm listening to a complete package here.
No, absolutely. So, one of the questions that I know that a lot of folks want to know, because as a judge, there's some things you really can't touch and can't talk on. But one of the things you can talk to us about is what has been one of the more fulfilling things about running for judge up until this point.
I would say being able to share my story regarding my son. My son is 5 years old, and at 19 months, he was diagnosed with leukemia. And we went through that process at the height of COVID. And we lived in the hospital right here at Orlando Regional, and they are absolutely amazing there. So shout out to the oncology unit for pediatrics at that facility. 90 days post ringing the bell, being cancer-free, he went through open heart surgery. And then 48 hours after that, he had a second open heart surgery because he had a heart attack. And I would say that it's most fulfilling to be able to share that story because it provides an open book to who I am and where my level of compassion comes from. Now, if I took that to the courtroom, this has taught me that everybody has a story, okay? That we're more than just a case file. And right now, the Ninth Judicial Circuit does a wonderful job of moving our cases efficiently. But I also believe that we need to bring time back to the courtroom too. And we have to figure out how to balance that. And my son has Down syndrome. And so that cornerstone of the population just may not have the same level of understanding of what it means to be in the courtroom and to understand the judicial process. And while we're working to be efficient, I believe that the experiences that I've had in my life and in my son's life with my husband and I believe that it gives us that edge to understand what it is to be efficient, but take the time to explain and to make sure that we hear the story while we're reading the file so that justice is actually administered in an equitable fashion and not in an equal fashion.
Let me say this. Let's Talk Nation, when Greg and I started this, we wanted to have a platform that we educated and informed individuals. We opened this platform up for folk to come in and tell your story, like we're hearing it right now. Former Chief Judge Belvin Perry taught us some great lessons when he was the Chief Judge, and that was he provided judicial education and information to the community. What you're doing right now is you're letting the community see the personable side of you. They get to know who you are, but then the other side that Greg and I are definitely going to be leaning on you once you become a judge is we want that same energy from the perspective of we host community forums where the judiciary can come out and provide information and education. And you're doing a great job doing that just right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really
Just as I sit there thinking about it, I mean, Judge Laurent came onto the show and
Yeah.
she talked, and we had a show where we were talking about domestic violence in relationships, and she came in just like you're telling your story. She was very upfront about some of the things that she her daughter had gone through, but like that, it personalized and let people know that a judge is a person too.
Right, absolutely.
And I think that's important for people to know that you have your things that you deal with, and when you come into that courtroom, you have a certain sense of compassion as well. So that is outstanding. So
Well, we're batting 1,000, and I was telling Miss Alicia we're batting 1,000 with judicial candidates that we've had on the show. But if you look at that camera with the red light and just let people know what you want them to know about you, your race, get out the vote, and I'll pass the baton to you.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for viewing this today and listening to what we have to say. My name is Alicia Payton, and I'm a candidate for Circuit Court Judge here in Orange and Osceola County. And early voting has started. We are in week 2 of early voting. You've heard a little bit about me and who I am, but you can always go to www.payton4judge.vote. That's Payton, the number 4, judge.vote. And here, learn even more about who I am and why I'm running. I also have a Facebook page, and I also have an Instagram page that has a lot of information about me. I'm an open book. You've heard me. My name is Alicia Payton Robinson. I'm married, but I practice law under my maiden name, which is Payton, and I'm proud to serve as your next circuit court judge. The actual election day is next Tuesday. We are 8 days away. And while I know that we're all concerned about our next United States president, I want to make sure that we are very clear that our local elections matter. Because if something should happen to you and you are unfortunately in a courtroom, you don't have the national president in that courtroom with you. But what you do have is a judge. And it's important that your judges are relatable, have experience, and have the correct temperament to ensure that justice is served and that the rules and the laws are followed to the T. I will bring all of that to you if you elect me, Alicia Payton, as your next circuit court judge on or before August 20th of 2024. Thank you.
Attorney Jackson, I don't know what to say after that.
There's nothing that can be said except for, we're very happy that you came, that you were able to spread the message. Let's Talk Nation, we are going to ask that you do get out and vote, and that you do support the best candidate for this race, which I'm sitting next to the person, which is Miss Alicia Payton Robinson.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're going to take a quick break. And once again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Joe's European Quality Auto Repair.
Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Jaguars, and Porsche. Joe's Quality Auto Repair specializes in European cars. Joe's Quality Auto Repair is located at 1240 State Road, 436 in Altamont Springs. Stop paying a king's ransom for your foreign auto repairs. Call Joe's Quality Auto Repair, mention Let's Talk Nation, and he'll beat certified dealership repair quotes by 30%. Call Joe's Quality Auto Repair at 407-409-6040. Again, 407-409-6040 for the best affordable and guaranteed European auto repairs.
Hey, welcome back to Let's Talk Nation. And Greg, what an interview.
Listen, my wife is probably happy because she probably saw me digging through my wallet. She know when I go digging through my wallet, I'm trying to write a check for somebody. So she's probably glad I couldn't find my find the check in my wallet tonight.
Greg, that was impressive.
No, it was. And listen, she's absolutely right. I'm in front of a lot of judges. I was just in front of a judge doing trial a week before last. I'll be back in front of some judges over the next several months, and it is important to have a judge who understands that has the right temperament. I was in front of a judge today that I had a trial in May. I want to say May or July, I can't remember now. And the judge actually said that he appreciated having a case with two good lawyers because he learned something in this case. That's the type of judge we like, that even when it's things that they don't know, they don't have a problem saying, hey, what about this and what about that? And so the right temperament, the appropriate temperament, man, it says a lot. As a barrister, that's what I'm saying.
And so, Greg, you brought up Judge Laurent. And one of the themes, man, that I'm seeing here, Miss Alicia grew up in Pine Hills.
Mm-hmm.
And even with Judge Laurent, grew up in Orlando.
That's right.
And the fact that they commit themselves to a level of community service.
Yeah.
And that engagement, man, information, education, and Greg, the beautiful thing about it is we didn't have to tell people about her. She told people about herself.
That's right. That's always important. So, but listen, Brother Love, while we are in this vein of election season, and one of the things that I'm embarrassed to say, Brother Love, is that I just completely forgot that early voting started on August 5th. By this time, I would have already voted, so that means that I got to get my crew together. And we got to get out and vote. My daughter's in town. I want to get her out and vote before she leaves to go back to Tallahassee. But the other thing too, this is a good chance for us to kind of revisit some of the candidates that have been in, that we've sat down and spoke to, and just kind of give folks just some heads up on who's out there and what races they're in. The first person that that came in and sat down and talked to us, we had a great conversation, was Austin Arthur, who is actually running for Orange County District 1. Very personable. Enjoyed having a conversation with him. One of the things that stood out to me, though, Brother Love, is I believe that there was something going on about black kids for rent or something like that. Was that ever resolved?
Greg, are those things ever per se resolved? I do know, and I will say, former Commissioner Siplin and I, along with a number of other individuals, what we were waiting to hear was a condemnation of that. Yeah. And we did not hear it. And so, with that being the case, man, Greg, there's no room for that. No tolerance.
So, and that's why I'm circling back on this, because when you told me about it, I was like, the same as you. I'm just waiting on, hey, who's going to say that's just wrong? You can't do that. That's not what politics is about. Although, we look at it, we think that it's the mudslinging and different things like that. Really and truly, that's not what politics is about. And when I heard about it, I was very disappointed and dismayed to hear that someone would put that type of negative message out there.
Greg, it seems like there's no new low at what level people will go now. But again, to your point, Arthur Austin came in. He shared with people who he is and what he represents, and for that we thank him.
Absolutely, absolutely. Next up, Brother Love, we also had Lenore Easter. She is actually running for the Ninth Circuit Public Defender. Robert Wesley, who has held that position for, I want to say, close to 3 decades, has actually endorsed her, and just most recently came out with a very vocal endorsement, publicly stating it again, in writing of Miss Easter. He said that her experience, her work with the indigent population, understanding the issues, is what has led him to tap her to continue the legacy. I believe his words were. And Miss Easter, she came in. We had a great conversation with her. She talked about the work that she did up in New York, but also some of the programs that she wants to bring here to the state of Florida, in particular, well, to the Ninth Circuit, but in particular, where if an individual is arrested, they have early access to an attorney or early access to a public defender. Something that she picked up on in her various travels and learnings and things of that nature, which I think would benefit this community.
You're right. And Greg, I do believe that every individual deserves representation.
Yeah.
But one of those fastballs that I was waiting to ask Miss Esther, she beat me to the punch. And that fastball was, how does the public defender's office, what is their obligation to public safety, man? And I mean,
Right.
she beat me to the punch.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
And listen, if anyone is fighting against, the death penalty and different things like that, it is the public defender. She is well positioned, to take on that fight. And then listen, my position on the death penalty is not as important as it is if that's her job and that's what she wants to address. I think that it's appropriate for her to do so. And so, we had a good chance to speak to her. Very impressed with her, and I think that she would do a fine job in that position, just in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I concur with you. And Greg, we had another individual that was on the show just last Monday.
Listen, man, we're still getting taps on now. You've been seeing the.
Yeah. And you know what, Greg? Here's something. You and I, because we read a lot of our media through links, we catch the news, but man, lo and behold, if the Orlando, I'm not even gonna give them credit. The local major newspaper here had this individual, former Senator Randolph Bracey, on the front page of the newspaper on Sunday morning. That's when everybody's reading the paper.
Yeah.
But it wasn't good.
Yeah.
It was, in my opinion, it was an assassination.
Listen, that is the Orlando Slant Nose MO at this point. They did the same exact thing to Tavares McCurdy. And we talked about it then, we denounced it then, and we're going to, well, I don't want to speak for you. I'm going to say, I'm going to denounce it now.
We're
going to denounce it now, because what they're doing is assassinating the character of an African-American male who is in a political campaign, and it is not warranted and it is not necessary.
And I know we're coming to the point of running down what candidates we've had on the show.
Yeah.
But in that vein, Greg, they did this to Senator Bracey, Randolph Bracey, 2 Sundays ago. This has taken place with State Attorney Andrew Bain.
Yeah.
This has taken place with former District Administrator and President Supervisor of Election, Glenn Galzine.
Yep.
And Greg, man, we talked about McCurdy, but you can also look at the fact that former Senator Gary Siblin. I mean, there's a theme to this.
I can tell you the thing.
You can tell me the theme?
And listen, it's not just, I'm going to tell you this, it's not just that they are African-American males. It's not just that. The issue is that there are either African-American males who are Republican, which, for some reason, Black Republicans are under attack for whatever the reason is, or they are African-American Democrats who have no issue with working across the aisles with Republicans. Why is it that when we're encouraged to live together, to eat together, to work, and all these other things together, and you have politicians that are working to do those things, that those individuals are vilified?
Hey, but you know what? I want to get to the build-up part, but I want to back up a quick second.
Yeah.
Because when we had Senator Bracey in the studio, he spoke about laws that he's passed.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't one.
No.
It was quite a few. But then the other side of it too, Greg, here's an individual that there's only a handful of Democrats who can lay claim to the fact that they actually held chairmanships in the Republican-led Florida Senate,
Yeah.
and he's one of them.
Yeah, that's right.
So
That's right.
with that being the lead up, and I like how you framed this other piece about Floyd Mayweather and Oscar. Come on, man, bring it.
Because listen, because aside from the story that was in the Orlando Sentinel, like a couple of weeks before he came on the show, or the week before he came on the show, the other big part of the story, Brother Love, is the rift that this election or this particular campaign has caused in the Bracey household. Something that we don't like seeing.
Yeah.
We wish that it was not as public as it is. I believe that Randolph Bracey, when he said that he supports his family, he wishes this wasn't happening. I believe it reminded me of Floyd Mayweather Sr. and Floyd Mayweather Jr. And y'all might know I'm a sports fan, but I'm a boxing fan to no end. And this was back in the time when Floyd Mayweather Jr. was getting ready to fight Oscar De La Hoya. Now, Oscar De La Hoya at that time was one of the best welterweights who was fighting at that time, and probably on route to be undisputed champ. And Floyd Mayweather was up and coming; he was a champ in his own right, but he had not reached that Money Mayweather esteem that he was at. He was Pretty Boy Floyd then.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, Brother Love, is that Floyd Mayweather Jr. had positioned himself to fight Oscar De La Hoya. The problem was, Brother Love, is that Oscar De La Hoya, for like 3 or 4 years, had been trained and had been under the tutelage of Floyd Mayweather Sr.
Senior. Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather Sr. was his trainer. The moment, and let's take a step back. Not only was he the trainer not only was Floyd Mayweather Sr. his trainer, but Floyd Mayweather Sr. and Floyd Mayweather Jr. were not on good terms. Matter of fact, Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s uncle, Roger Mayweather, was his trainer, and they didn't really get along because they just didn't get along. And it was public. It was very public. That aspect was very public. The moment that Floyd Mayweather Jr. declared that he was fighting Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather Sr. went to Oscar De La Hoya and said, I don't care what the issues are with my son, that's still my son. And I cannot train you to fight and beat my son. And he resigned as the trainer of Oscar De La Hoya.
You're right. That's
historical. And my brain, that's what families do. There's nothing that should come between families. And if I saw it with the Mayweathers, which, interestingly enough, Mr. Bracey's wife is
Mayweather.
Is Mayweather.
Yeah.
That's got this one. I don't know what they were. But, that's what families do. And friendship, Brother Love. And I understand that there's a friendship between Senator Thompson and the Bracey family. But friendship would never ask you to side with them over family.
You're right. You're right.
Friendship would never ask you to do that. And I would almost guarantee you that if the shoe was on the other foot, that there would not be the same level of doing the same type of thing. I'm only saying that to say that I hope, Brother Love, as much respect as I have for Senator Thompson, as much respect as I have for the Bracey family, I hope that this turns out, that this pulls this family together more than anything else.
I agree.
Because we were serious when we said last week, Brother Love, the Bracey family in this community
It's royalty.
is royalty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of the work that they've done, what they stand for, what they've stood for, is legacy building and legacy in fact. And so I hope that this actually draws the family closer together, that after this election, that they can put this behind them no matter what the outcome is, because, politics, Brother Love, politics should never come between families.
Big family. You're right. You're right. I agree with you. And so, Greg, with that being said, I mean, we really went down a list, and I do think, man, we may have left some individuals out. Yeah, we've run out of time as it relates to the number of individuals that have been calling and asking if they can get on the show. But, Greg, I tell you.
I think you get on if this is the primary for them, they're going to have the general too now.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Yeah, they're
You're
going to
right.
have the general
You're right.
too, so.
You're right. But you know what, Greg? That full lineup, man, has come on this show, and they've talked directly to our audience.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, we want to say thank you to the audience. It's our job to bring you the information so that you can be informed when you fill out your ballot.
Yeah,
You've been informed.
yeah. Now I got to get in trouble, Brother Love.
Go ahead.
Now I got to get in trouble. My mama called me late yesterday.
What's it?
She called me yesterday, Brother Love. She said, you got to lay off Kamala Harris. You got to lay off of her. I said, now listen, now if I say something that's not true, you call and let me know. I said, but I got to speak truth to the people.
So you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, I'm gonna get in trouble. I mean, not too much trouble. I'm just gonna speak the truth. If
Okay.
the truth get me in trouble, just get me in trouble. and it may not get me in trouble, but the bigger question that's going on right now is, has Donald Trump gotten off a message with Kamala Harris being in this race? And I think I just heard today that in the national polls that Kamala Harris is up by 52 points to Donald Trump's 44 points. I think one of the bigger issues is that Donald Trump is more focused on talking about Kamala Harris, the person, as opposed to talking about Kamala Harris, the issues. Because if you really truly look at it, Kamala Harris has not spoken to the media yet.
Yeah.
She has not given any clear path to what it is that she wants to do. And the one time that she did have a clear something in the clear path of what she wanted to do, it was actually stealing a concept from Trump. For those who don't remember and don't recall, and I just happened to, Trump was the one that first started talking about no taxes for service workers or no taxes on tips. Kamala Harris has now taken that and has made it her own, as if that is something that she came up with when she did not. Now, the other thing too, Brother Love, and this is, well, actually, this is somewhat Kamala Harris, but her running mate, Mr. Walz, has come under come under certain fire. Now, when he initially came onto the campaign, he introduced himself as a former command sergeant major for the Minnesota National Guard. Now, he made some comments that were offensive, I believe, to National Guard members, especially me as a former member of the National Guard, where he was saying that, hey, listen, why would we bring these people to protect? Because you're going to get a bunch of 19-year-old cooks. When I was in the National Guard, Brother Love, I was an 11 Charlie 81 millimeter gunner. Where we would train and we would actually go up against regular Army folks, and we were prepared and ready to go to battle at any given time. My mom was upset because when Desert Shield happened, there was a very real possibility that my unit would be called up, and I refused to. And she'll tell you, I refused to assert, because if you're an only child, that gives you special privilege where you don't have to go. And I refused to say, hey, I'm an only child, I don't want to go. I said, if my number is called, I'm going, and I meant that because I wanted to serve my country. That aside, so apparently, the former battalion commander, a Lieutenant Colonel Cole for Minnesota National Guard, has come out and has basically said that Walz is guilty of stolen valor. What he said is that Walz, when he was in the National Guard, that he actually terminated his service contract early so that he didn't have to go to battle with his troops. He's also indicated that Walz, who has announced himself as a command sergeant major, that he never actually completed the coursework or completed the sections in order to be a sergeant major. So there's some real questions about this Walz guy. And I mean, he never really sat well with me in the first place, just based on how he denigrated, members of the National Guard. Because even as a weekend warrior, you're giving time to your country and you're leaving your family and you're willing to step in the place of regular service members if need be to protect your state, but also if the country calls, to protect your country.
Greg, you know what? There's nothing that you have said that I think you're going to be in trouble with Mama Jackson. But there's nothing that you said that I think gets you in trouble. But Greg, here's something, man, that I do want to say. Greg, remember when politics was about telling people what you're going to do for them?
Yeah.
Where did that ever go? Because we're not there anymore.
No, we're not there. We're not there. But I'm gonna tell you something else that's a little bit disturbing too, Brother Love. That I believe it was either you or Dr. Light, y'all sent a video, and on the video, and how many of you all think this way? And be honest with yourself. And in this video, it was someone that said, who are you going to vote for? Yeah. And the lady said Kamala Harris. And they said, why are you going to vote for Kamala Harris? They said, because she's black. Who are you voting for, blue or red? I'm voting black. That is a very dangerous position to take. And I think that we talked about this before, Brother Love, in that what if someone who was not African-American stepped up and said, the only reason I'm voting for this person is because they're white. Now, I'm not saying that they don't say that. I'm saying, imagine how that feels if someone says
what I'm waiting for you to do is break down that percentage for me, just like you did earlier.
Oh, listen.
Your point.
Listen. If you want to make it about identity politics and specifically about race politics, and say I'm only going to vote for this person because of the color of their skin, you have to understand that African Americans only make up 12.6% of the population. That is not a whole lot of people out of 300 million people, especially when you look at the fact that Hispanics make up 18.9% of the population. So we're not even third in that equation. And not only that, we don't even combine with our Hispanic brothers and sisters, we don't even total the number of white Americans, which is 59.3 or 59.6%. So when we look at it, at any time, if we just say, oh, we're going to do this because the person is this or the person is that, if any other race decided to do the same thing, no African American could be elected. The only reason, and I want people to understand this, I understand how people say, well, listen, the black vote helped to push Biden over the line. The black vote is what got our first black president elected. Clinton relied on the black vote. President Obama was not elected because of the black vote.
You're right.
The black vote would not have carried President Obama alone. There were our Hispanics, there were our white brothers and sisters who supported Barack Obama to help him to become president. It was not about color of his skin. It was about the content of his message and him being, at that time, the most qualified individual around.
And to sum that up, Greg, you have to explore and look at those individuals that you're voting for and make sure that their interests pair with yours.
Yeah, because you know, when we look at certain things about the Harris-Walz campaign, even as a Democrat, there's certain things that concern me. I don't see, and I don't know if they fully understand and embrace what is taking place in the African American community. When they say that gas prices aren't too high, when they say that food prices aren't too high, when they say that inflation is not a problem, when they're saying that Americans are living their best life at this point in time, that tells me that they are disconnected.
There's nothing that you said that would get you in trouble. As a matter of fact, I think you opened up that box to an extent, Greg, that you got to really explore those individuals that have your interests at stake. And if they don't, that's when you have conversations about them to let them know what you stand for and care about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, listen, brother, I think we gave him that 25 to 30% tonight.
But it's a bump. It's a definitely bump.
We gave him that bump tonight. So.
Hey, Greg, real quick, let people know about early voting.
So listen, once again, early voting started on August 5th. It's going to end on this Sunday, which is August the 18th. If you have not gotten out to vote just yet, now is the perfect time to do it. In the Orange County, you can go to virtually any, well, you can go to any precinct that is open right now to vote. Go out, vote, let your voice be heard. I do say this, if you go in there and you don't see a name that you know or you don't recognize, don't just mark something down. Your right to vote is not someone's right to your vote. Be smart about how you use your voice.
Hey, and what I do want to say to those different groups that have contacted Greg and myself, the different alliances, civic groups, we're very humbled that you would ask us what our opinion of the different folk that have come to lend their voice and let you know who they are. And so once again, I don't want to take that for granted. We appreciate your engagement. We appreciate the invitation and just your curiosity about what we think about the folk that are running for office.
Absolutely. So again, we want to say a very special thank you to Miss Alicia Payton Robinson for coming in and sharing her story with us, sharing her candidacy with us. We also want to thank all of the other candidates who've come in and sat down and spoke to Let's Talk Nation. Keep that in mind when you're looking for individuals that you want to support.
Hey, tell you what, we look forward to seeing you next week. We'll have a special treat for you. Hey, but brother Greg Jackson, the attorney, the general, you don't have to go home.
Got to get out of here.
Until next week on Let's Talk Nation, we'll see you then.